I think I realized I wanted to become a storyteller when I recognized that I wasn't being told any stories about myself. None of my stories were existing. I had been thinking the entire time that it was my fault. It was something that happened in my adulthood. I recognized this deep-seated unhappiness, and I realized it was because I felt like I had no agency over my own narrative. The best way to see your own story told is to tell that story.
I mean, I come from storytellers. My mother is one of the greatest writers I think to ever have walked this earth. My pops is nasty with the pen. My brother is one of the best screenwriters in this town. So I come from good stock. I'm sort of like the run of the litter.
We had a very amazing, charismatic family. You know, I have preachers, politicians in my family, so a number of people that tell stories very well. Being able to transport somebody to an entirely different time, an entirely different place was something that blew me away.
I grew up in a musical family. My mom was a singer-songwriter, so music was always around. I just was drawn to great songwriting. I'm always telling my story through my songs.
I'm Arsema Thomas.
Daryl Britt Gibson.
Nathan Edwards.
Mindy Ashawn.
And this is
The
Storyteller Spotlight. You ask me what I need, and what do I tell you?
You don't need anything.
Exactly.
But for once, you're wrong.
She Taught Love. It's a contemporary love story, and it's about a guy who sort of lost his way, and this woman who has got everything figured out, but just found out that time may not be on her side, and it's their love story.
I play Molly Waters. She's a sports agent who falls in love with Frank Cooper. Molly embodies a lot of the ways that Black women have been viewed and treated.
There's a little bit of my own life in pieces of this story, but for me, I think Hollywood has a weird obsession with showing weak women who need to be saved by a man. And I don't know weak women. I've been raised by superheroes. They're all strong women, and a woman saved me. And so just to be able to tell that story, especially from the perspective of a Black woman, it's just high time for it.
Their initial offer came in at $26.5, but your favorite agent worked overtime to get them to raise it to $29.5 because I knew the Milwaukee offer was coming in at $31.5. So if I did my math correctly, the money you think you're losing out on is actually waiting for you on South Beach.
You realize that she's strong only because of the fact that she hides a lot of her emotions. I think she feels as though she has to be this cleaned, very put together version of a person in order to be taken seriously at her work. You see her try and take on everybody's problems on her shoulders.
I'm tired of them asking me how I'm doing every 5 minutes. I'm tired of seeing my mom cry every time I say goodbye to her.
A lot of the images I've seen in the past, Black women are hard, going through something, and we don't see ourselves living these full lives. I related to Molly's character. It's important to see the multi-dimensions of Black women, and most importantly, to see us being loving and being loved.
Look at it. No one can convince me that what happens here is the beginning and end of everything.
Being able to put a woman like Arsema Thomas in the lead was this beautiful brown-skinned woman who, in any other film, she's somebody's sidekick, or she's a best friend, or she's angry at the world for whatever reason. She's the epicenter of the film. The movie doesn't work without her, and I just hope that a film like this forces Hollywood to start having that real conversation. If they say they need another She Taught Love, well, you better get another beautiful Black woman who looks like Arsema Thomas, because there are so many of them out there.
Working with Daryl Britt Gibson has been one of the greatest experiences. He's such a talented writer. I think there's something about seeing a Black woman at the forefront of a narrative like this. She's the hero, and to see that she's not there to support anybody else's narrative, that this is solely centered around her, I think is one of the most revolutionary things that I had read. It's quite emotional when you think about seeing somebody care about your fight before you have to convince them that. When you have to constantly convince the world that you matter, there's something really jarring when you don't have to. I have to give him his flowers, and I have to give him a lot of thanks, because he really sacrificed a lot just for me to be the star.
I'm thinking about you nonstop. I'm crazy about you.
When I think of Black romance in film, I start with She Gotta Have It, Boomerang, things like Moonlight. You start to see a landscape of love stories and romance told from different perspectives. When you think about romance, it is as expansive as the human experience. When you think about Black love, we owe it to ourselves to be able to tell as many of those expansive stories as possible that kind of reach towards the expansive love. When I think about She Taught Love and its place in that, we're offered a opportunity to fall in love with these two characters that don't have to be together. Some of the social themes that connected me to this film, that it's okay to change, that it's okay to be vulnerable. Black man, that it's okay to cry. Meeting the viewer where they're at.
All right, let's do it.
Andscape is the studio that financed and brought on the film.
It's a company that is wanting to tell our stories, but in very tasteful ways.
I mean, I think the really special thing about Andscape is that it has artistry as the forefront. The fact that it has this arm that is also in the sports center allows just this really beautiful intersection, and to see that intersection kind of live under the umbrella of Andscape makes it kind of freeing as a storyteller.
They have a very important mission focusing on storytellers that have been marginalized over the history of film. They gave me complete freedom to see my vision out.
The film that you guys are about to see is a lifetime of dreams that have all came together to make this moment happen.
Nate is ridiculously incredible. He is what I like to call a painter who just so happens to sit behind the camera. He's a magician, and he's truly an actor's director. I was surprised myself, because a first-time director, that can be tough. I think any actor, if you're watching this and you get an opportunity to work with him, like, put on your fastest shoes and run towards that opportunity, and I promise you, you won't regret it. Music's important to the film because it's a character in the film.
I'm so very happy to be teaming up with Andscape through this movie. We know that Black ownership and Black representation is so important. I'm just grateful that I get to be a part of their story, to share my music under this platform.
When looking for that track, it was sort of, you're listening to a million different songs and you know that it has to be right. And then somebody sends you There Must Be a God by India Shawn, and you're like, yep, we got it. She's super dope.
There must be a God watching over.
There Must Be a God is actually my first single off of my new album. It's about the miracle of love, a prayer answered. I think that sometimes we can feel forgotten. When that energy comes into your life, it just reaffirms that there is a higher power. I've had this desire in my heart to be cared for, speaking that into existence for all of my sisters and for myself.
It's been a couple of decades since we've had a love story that wasn't wrapped around impending social or economic downfall. It was just about two people in love. And my goal was to make this in a way to where this contemporary story would be something that would be timely now, could be timely 10 years from now, 20 years from now. We wanted to make a timeless classic.
Thank you, Daryl, for putting 7 years, your heart into this.
It's something that we've loved, we've held close to our hearts for a really long time, and now the scariest part is sharing it with the entire world and seeing how it'll be received.
I think Black love is universal love, and everybody needs it. We all desire it, and we all deserve it. And I think that we live in a society where too many people don't believe they actually deserve love. but I am here to tell you that every single person deserves love. And I think that films like this can help push that narrative to the forefront. If anything's gonna save us from what's going on in the world, I promise you it's gonna be love.
Please enjoy the film.